I just made an excellent throw with my thumb, and I wasn't even trying. But please, that's right. What you get for putting me on this game? I'm not doing shit. Get the fuck out of here. I want to choose a path. You know what path I want to choose? None of them.
Okay. See, tell me what you see on my YouTube.
1 second. Flint. Where's that go, buddy? Hey, don't be an asshole.
Uh,
Train.
okay,
Hey,
but
why don't I read that shit? But
okay. So party is still the same. Nothing has changed there yet. Oh, we have an encounter.
I'm still against the option screen.
Okay.
Oh, there we go. Now we're moving. What's happening? I see green trees. I see you biting a knockout. Where I get off? He just sent me a video of her baby in her tummy kicking her.
Mm.
And he was kicking the shit out of her.
Where's my puff bar? Do we want Illumise? Do you remember who Illumise is?
Okay, I know the Pokemon, but I don't know, like, if he's good or not.
Give us something good, or have I encountered everything on this route? Nope, there's still one thing I have not encountered yet. What in the Fraggle Rock is it? Fairy King, we don't want a Floette. We don't want a Teddiursa. Even though we could get an Ursaluna, but it's just normal Ursaluna. It's not Blood Moon Ursaluna, and it's okay. We've seen everything here. So once we see something that is new, we go on about our day, and I turn my Infinite Repel on, seeing as I can't level up anymore. Although we could get lucky and encounter our third shiny, and Sarah will know if we encounter third said shiny because she will hear me scream.
Yippee for me.
Hey, you know you love hearing me encounter shinies because you lose hearing for a few minutes.
What's the parasect?
Didn't need him. Ah, fuck off, Wormadam. Nobody likes you. Do I have any items to heal up to heal up Big Daddy Charizard? Alright, we've healed up Big Daddy Charizard. And we can't get over to that said trainer. We don't want the Wormahor. Okay, there is nothing here that we don't have.
Thank you, my friend. I'm finished with that map now. Thank you. Thank you very, very much. You are a blessing.
So, what color is Teddy Ursa when it's shining? Well, how the fuck are you supposed to... Well, we found the missing encounter. You'll see it in a minute. So now all we're hoping is that one of these pops up shiny. And that Parasect doesn't come and try and tickle our pickle. I throw rocks at Parasect. Parasect dies. Yay! We killed the Parasect. Oh! Uh,
Rashidi talking to BB.
mhm.
So if you hit the new encounter, I don't know if I saw it.
Did you see a Volbeat?
I don't know. I was looking down at my phone.
Well, because I already went...
But I thought I would look up in time.
You missed it. Something you're not telling me. Hmm. You know, I was very curious about this whole situation. Well said. I had one of my secretaries do the digging. Arceus is not a registered citizen of the Ieri region. What? Then shouldn't they not legally be allowed to work under one of our guilds? You're right. They shouldn't. However, Arceus is the prime target of two of the largest renegade groups in Ieri. If we were to, let's say, remove their rights as a Pokemon trainer, they could easily be nabbed by either group. But right now, Arceus sits at the center of the Trainers Association's protection. Arceus isn't aware, but multiple high-ranking trainers, including Izeka, know of their value to both BB and the Defiance. So Arceus is just basically bait. I guess you could say that. So what do you want me to do? You don't have any big cases or projects right now, so I would just look after Arceus when they go far enough from the guild. That isn't entirely true, but sure, I'll play along. Hmm.
Were you reading what he was saying?
Uh huh.
I wasn't listening.
Knock, knock, knock. Crap. Hello? A woman's voice. Please, come in. My parents kicked me out of the house. It's freezing out, and the nearest town is hours from here. Shit. I just can't leave her out there. Hold on. I'm coming. It's a trap.
Did that say shit?
Uh huh.
Okay.
I've also seen fuck, damn it, and asshole.
She said, you piece of shit.
Oh no, there's fan games where they literally murder Pokemon.
Oh, well.
Uh huh. Okay, I'm tired of talking. I want to go back to catching Pokemon.
He looks like he's using red twist.
That's how you gain weight.
Oh, that's it. I need to stop eating my chips.
You need to go on the same diet your brother's on. Chicken, quinoa, and broccoli.
I'm eating. I really haven't been eating that much recently. Because I've been having like one meal a day.
Alright, let's see if we pull a shiny. Pull a shiny. Give us a shiny. We got Wiglet, we got Floatzel, we got Tentacle, we got Raticate, and we got Iona. No shinies.
It's heavenly.
Did you shit yourself?
No, I took a drink of my monster. That was that first drink, that first sip. Oh, good one. My tummy. No, my taste buds are that's like
Monster's bad for you.
you can't say shit. You drink Red Bull.
No, I don't.
You were. That's a zero sugar one. That counts for something.
And that counts for absolutely nothing, bitch.
It counts in my brain, which is good enough. Bitch.
I'm trying to speed blitz the text. Reading.
No, not you. I'm playing bingo now. Yeah.
Oh, we're finally back here, so we can go over here. We go in here.
Come on. Come on. Give me 34 or 30, excuse me, 6. Bitch. 34.
Oh, we got a new Pokemon.
I'm seeing things that says something about hyper potions and Ultra Balls and stuff else. need to get the untradables first. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here.
Where the frag of bitch is my room?
You're sitting in it. Come on, give me 74. Come on. Don't be a bitch.
Be a whore.
Don't be a bitch.
Be a whore.
You bitch.
Be a whore.
Sure, sure.
So, Sarah,
So what?
look at Conkeldor.
That's chicken? Wait. Who am I looking at? Oh, Scrappy is the chicken looking one. The green one is blah.
Yeah, well, what's wrong with Conkeldor?
I don't know who it is, so. Mark over it.
The one that is about to faint.
Yep, I don't know the fuck name.
Um, hello.
60? Really? Not a single fucking one. Really? This is how we're gonna play this? You're joking, bro.
No.
Not you. Hmm.
Oh no, Wukong fainted. How dare they?
What in the actual bullshit is this?
I don't know, but I want that fucking Embor.
Oh, pink. Dude, are you on crack?
Yes, yes I am.
You better give me something. I swear to God, you're pissing me off. You're joking. Seriously? Gotcha. Huh. Damn.
Damn.
Oh, I just got 2 new cards.
I just one shot of Toxic Croak. Oh, thank you, Grease. You did well. But now it's time for Bum Break to come in and handle the light work. That magma embor, though. Oh, I can level up. We're in danger.
Hate you.
I hate you too.
It's not you. Talking about game.
Well, don't do that. People might take you serious and think you're crazy, or think you're crazy.
Excuse me. I need 5, 6, 7, 11, and 12. Okay. 5, 6, 7, 11, 12. I think I said that right. 5, 6, 7, yep. Fine, correct. 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 Let's just
Hey,
chicken.
sir, you're joining my game.
What the fuck you mean?
Oh, just wait, you'll see it.
Nibbles. You're naming me after a book.
Oh, wait, it keeps getting better. And I even said it's nature to lonely.
Wow. You're an asshole.
I'm aware. Any new Pokemon out here? Yeah, just a P-Dove. We don't need a P-Dove. No, I just randomly walked out and got a Nimble. I'm like, excuse me? Okay, it brought me back to the academy for some reason. What am I supposed to do at the academy?
Learn.
No, learning's for bitches like you.
Yeah. The only reason I ever graduated high school is they wanted me to leave. They're like, get this bitch out of here. All she does is fucking talk. And not turn in her assignments.
We're aware you were the worst. We're aware that you are the worst student on the face of this earth.
Mom being like, Sarah, you're smart. You can do it if you put your mind to it. I'm like, no. I was like, my brain cannot comprehend anything.
We'd have a better chance teaching a dead squirrel how to play the piano.
Probably. Like, Mom, you put a lot of faith in me.
I have no faith in you.
Trinity just messaged me and said, I'm so hungry, but we don't have any yet.
In layman's terms, she wants to come mooch off of you.
Probably. I told her I had money.
Ha ha ha! Yeah, there it is. Hey, Bubba needs a loan.
I can't send it to anybody, though. It's in my MoneyLion app. And for some fucking reason, I can't attach my Cash App card to my Cash App. I can put a debit card on there. And I was like, okay, well, I'll put Mom's debit card on there. Because I don't have an actual, like, bank debit card. And I was like, oh, I'll put Mom's on there. But it said that it has to be, the name on the debit card has to be the same name as the account holder. I'm like, you fucking bitch. What do I need? I need bow. Hmm? 16? 16. 12? 21?
Oh, haha! We've advanced the story. How fast can I hit enter? Haha! We have advanced the story. Quest, where are we going?
Probably both. Oh. Told Trinity, I was like, literally the only reason I'm not going to the car to go and get her is just because I don't want to walk to the car. Driving's not the issue. Because apparently they think that they need to make an obstacle course to get to your car, and I don't want to do it. boxy basket. See you. Wooden basket. Brown stick. Excuse me. You're not.
Ugh. That's a scary sight. Oh, there's something new here that we've never seen. What we got? What you got for us?
You bitch.
Oh, sir, look, it's an abomination.
Mine Junior.
Yeah. Hey, you're the one that said these ones that are not their normal types are abominations.
The ones I hate the most are the one that has the fucking sound bullshit. Fucking sound. Not a thing. It's not a thing, and I don't care what anyone says.
No, it's not, but it very much should be a thing.
You mean
So,
they have the power to listen?
no,
Hear shit?
no, sound are like sound-based moves. They use sound-based moves.
Like they can do like a sonic boom?
Yes.
Oh, okay. That's so stupid.
Like, for example, Noivern gets a move called Boom Burst.
Which is a sonic boom.
Essentially.
Does he do, what's the DC character? What's her name?
Flash.
No. Her, not. It's a. Oh my god, what is her name?
Wonder Woman.
No. Her daddy was a cop.
Iris.
No. Like, it's a superhero. And her dad was a cop. And she can blow things up with her voice.
Black Canary.
Thank you. Lord, that was taking forever to get to. Kept saying Night Fury in my head, and I was like, that's not fucking right.
No, no, that would be How to Train Your Bitch. God. Hey, Sarah, you're sitting by the danger zone.
What's the name wrong?
My ass.
Huh?
You're sitting by my ass.
Ew.
Hey,
Can I not?
huh?
Can I not?
But then if I blow a bomb, you won't hear it.
I don't want to. That's where it's different. I don't wanna.
Hey, at least they haven't invented smell-o-vision on our phones yet.
Like, so I'm gonna do it. And yesterday, I was laying in my bed, and I literally felt a gas bubble traveling. I was like, oh, okay. And I, released the gas, and within a millisecond, I could smell it, and I literally, it was so toxic. I called mom. I was like, Mom. She goes, what? I was like, I think something died in me. She goes, why do I need to know? I'm like, because it was bad. It was really bad. And I scared myself.
Sarah,
What?
add our sister to the call.
Which one?
Well, which one would I tell you to add?
I don't know. There's so many of them.
Okay, well, one isn't going to care to join the conversation because she's pregnant and also has two demon children. The other one's at work. So, and then the other sister doesn't talk to me. So that narrows it down to one logical choice here, Sarah.
Amber?
There you go. I knew you had a brain in there.
Trinity would talk probably. She's not doing anything. She's wanting me to come get her.
Yeah, but she's not going to join the she's not going to join in on the stream and have any insight on the stream.
All I gotta do is chill.
Well, I mean, you can add Trinity if you want to.
If I had Trinity, she won't want anyone else in the call, so you gotta pick.
Add
She's
Amber
very
first.
weird about people.
Add Amber first. See what she's doing.
Oh, that just made me so sad. I went to invite people, and Dad's like at the top of the list. Yeah. I was informed to add you. Oh.
And I'll give you three guesses who told her.
You.
It only took you one. You do have a brain cell up there.
There's no one else to call, you dipshit. Over here. Oh, but then.
Hey, Amber.
Oh. Oh.
You dabble in Pokemon, correct?
Who, me?
Yes, Amber.
I'm in the vault.
Huh?
I'm on a game.
Oh. Well, you fucking loser.
I'm on Fortnite.
You fucking loser. I want you to go watch the stream.
I need to go call Trinity. I'll call y'all back.
I thought you were supposed to be out of that apartment like 2 weeks ago.
I only have enough for 50 plus health.
So you paid her what? What? Who? With? When? Where? Why?
Buttercup.
Oh, you mean by the crook?
Yeah. I'm really getting to a point if she doesn't hurry up and get me into. Yeah, there's one running down this road too.
I thought he didn't touch Fortnite.
Who?
Matt.
Matt. I'm on with.
Who are you on with? Oh. Too bad you don't have a laptop or a tablet.
You. I
Yeah.
have two laptops. Yeah, three. One of them screen.
Uh, so you can pull up my YouTube account on your, say, laptop and look at these abominations.
Chill. Deal. I'm down. Okay, well, he's over here coming after me and he's got a laser deal. I'm out. We're dead. Alright. You're done. Oh, yeah. Definitely. Oh, so you're starting to get payback. Are we ready up? I ready. Max, dude, you're in my fucking way.
What the fuck? Okay.
Alrighty, I'll talk to you later.
Uh, Oh,
Lee ran in between the shadow soldiers to get away from there. Good. Jinwoo patiently waited for the kid to get to a safe enough distance away, and then summoned up his newly added travel invention.
Bunch. Hmm. Yeah, piece of chicken and everything's so shiny. Hopefully they're still watching.
Itself and stepped out before displaying the appropriate courtesy towards Jin Wu. It's only you. Jin Wu lowered his vigilance after Baru entered the giant's body. His presence got hidden by the huge monsters near bottomless magical energy, and as a result, it became momentarily impossible to differentiate. After confirming that it was Baru for real, Jin Wu returned his short swords back to his storage. Jin Wu was about to heartily praise the underling with a smile, but his expression crumbled in an instant. What the hell is up with this stink? A truly disgusting odor was getting stronger as Baru got nearer. Jin Wu was about to pat his ant soldier on the shoulder as a gesture of a job well done, but discovered a yellowish liquid of unidentifiable nature there, and sneakily withdrew his hand. You did well, Baru. I thank thee, O my king. Suddenly, the air all around him trembled, sensing yet another change taking place. Jin Wu hurriedly raised his guard up. A powerful gust of wind assaulted them right afterwards. Jin Wu's forehead creased up. The stormy winds, violent enough to rip out trees, roots and all, swept all around him. But then they abruptly slithered off to somewhere else. The commotion died down almost instantly. What he mistakenly thought as storm winds was simply the horrifyingly disgusting and bottomless magic energy the dead giant possessed. That massive amount of magical energy clawed and swept everything in the vicinity away as it moved entirely elsewhere. What about you, Jin Ho? Jin Wu hurriedly turned to look behind where Yu Jin Ho had been. Thankfully, the kid was unscathed due to Ygritte's shield. Jin Wu sighed in relief, now that he found more leeway to search his vicinity. Jin Wu quickly snapped his head in the direction where that vast magic energy had disappeared. It was deep within the gate. Every single drop of the magical energy the dead giant possessed was sucked into the gate. It was as if the gate itself had swallowed up that magic energy. The black barrier blocking the gate had shattered a long time ago during the dungeon break. The interior of the gate, which was the inside of the dungeon, could be seen clearly from the outside. Something else is in there. His perception stat was telling him as much. Jin Wu stared at the interior of the dungeon, his eyes progressively getting narrower and narrower. Whatever was waiting for him in there, the moment that he recognized its presence, the hair on the back of his neck all stood right up. This might get very dangerous. Jin Wu looked at Yu Jin Ho and spoke in a heavy voice. You stay here and wait for me. Yes, Hyung Min. Yu Jin Ho nodded without raising a fuss. His desire to follow was quite strong, but at the same time, he figured that he'd be more of a hindrance than anything else. Jin Wu left the kid on standby outside and led his shadow soldiers into the mouth of the gate, entering into the dungeon itself. This is really, while entering a few top-ranked dungeons, he thought that he got pretty used to the idea of things being massive by now. However, his thoughts had to be revised the moment he entered this particular dungeon. Way too huge. Jin Wu walked within the passage that seemed so limitlessly tall and wide. It was as if the word massive had been invented just to describe this place, and he continued to swallow back his gasps of astonishment. He still didn't make any noises inside the dungeon, though. He continued to maintain this habit formed during the time when he was a lowest ranked hunter and lacked any means to protect himself from the monsters. Even though he greatly exceeded the levels of regular rank S awakened by now, it was never a bad thing to remain cautious of one's surroundings. After all, can you hear it? Baru concentrated on the ambient noises for a little bit, before nodding his head. Yes, I can hear it, my king. Baru could also hear it now. Just over yonder was the end of the dungeon. From the location where the dungeon's boss should usually be, laughter came out from there. It was so soft that only the beings on the levels of Jinwu or Baru could perceive it. The good-natured laughter of a man continued to resound out as if he was genuinely pleased about something. Jinwu couldn't help but get puzzled here. Even though the darkness of the dungeon had masked them and they couldn't see each other, the other party must have felt Jinwu's approach by now. Even then, it can still laugh like that. The spectacle of so many monsters enveloped in black smoke advancing forward in unison was more than enough to instill fear in the hearts of every enemy watching. However, such a thing wasn't applicable to a certain man, whose entire body was tied down by chains, with the sole exception of his head. Was it him simply being tied down? No, it wasn't as simple as that at all. The black chains connected to the walls of the dungeons not only wrapped tightly around this unknown man several times, some of them even pierced straight through his body, the emerging ends seemingly taking root within his flesh. It was such a wretched sight that anyone watching would immediately start wondering, if that was punishment, then just how big was the crime committed to warrant such treatment? Jin Wu furrowed his brows. On the other hand, the man formed a bright smile while looking at Jin Wu as if he had run into a very close friend. Oh, how humorous this is. So very humorous. All of you detestable ruler beastdogs, take a good look at who had come to see me first. Jin Wu came to a stop, not too far but not too close. The man quickly carried on. The chains. Hurry and undo these chains. I know all the plans of the rulers. I need to let the other sovereigns know of the truth. The man's words suddenly came to a halt, then, his eyes, filled with joy only until a moment ago, had cooled down in an instant as if it had all been a lie. This unknown man quietly peered into Jin Wu's eyes. While that was happening, the latter also carefully studied the former, and it was in that moment he realized that this man's face and that of the supermassive giant guarding the gate were exactly the same. You are not the one that I know of. Jin Wu had no idea who this guy mistook him for, but he wasn't planning to deny that either. Well, he also had never seen the face of this tied-up man before, excluding the dead giant outside, of course. Jin Wu threw a question. Did those rulers or whatever make you look like this? They are trying to use me as the stepping stone for laying the foundation of the true warfare about to take place. This was the first time something like this happened. Jin Wu had tried to initiate conversations with intelligent monsters up until now, but none of them were able to explain their origins at all. But then, the one right in front of his eyes had revealed the reason for its existence for the first time ever. It said, to lay the foundation of the true warfare. Whether those words were truth or lies, Jin Wu realized that they could become an important clue to unraveling everything. Just what are these things called rulers? Ancient enemies of the sovereigns. Sovereigns? The angel statue back then began to go berserk as it was being pushed to the corner. It cried out something about other sovereigns not taking this lying down. For the time being, even if you were to set aside what kind of existence these sovereigns were, he kind of realized just where one of them could be right now. In that case, the reason why those beings tied you up like this is that. That's right, the man replied with sorrowful eyes. I am also a sovereign. And then, he explained further with a desperate voice. It is quite likely that both the sovereigns and rulers are aiming for you right now. However, you lack the strength to fight against them. In order to stand a chance against them, you'll be needing influence, too. Out of all the hard-to-fathom words being spewed out, Jin Wu still managed to catch what this man wanted to say the most. Influence. The man nodded his head. Release me from my seal. I shall aid you. Jin Wu suddenly doubt his own hearing just then. He wanted to help you now. A monster helping a human. He was so flabbergasted that he ended up blurting out what was on his mind. You seriously think I'll believe you? The unknown man formed a serious expression. Then, I shall make you believe me. He began chanting some kind of a spell as his lips moved at an incredible speed that looked like a video playback sped up tens, no, hundreds of times. At that moment, Jin Wu sensed the magical energy present within this empty, open arena suddenly coagulate around this man. In the blink of an eye, he summoned his short swords out. If the gathering magic energy carried even a hint of aggression, then the blade of his weapon would have pierced into the man's forehead already. However, Jin Wu patiently waited. The amount of magic energy being utilized was very small when compared to the reserves both Jin Wu and the man possessed, and he couldn't sense any aggression or hostile intent from the gathered energy. Either, Jin Wu readied the ultimate version of the skill dagger throw, dagger rush, and waited with bated breaths. The needle-like tension continued to prick him in his skin. Eventually, the strange language flowing out of the man's mouth came to an end, and a system message popped up in Jin Wu's view along with the familiar TTI ring. What attracted Jin Wu's attention, first of all, was not the contents of the man's suggestion, but the title denoting what the man's true identity was. The King of Giants, is it? He remembered the giant-type monsters he hunted down on his way to here. Most likely, there must be some kind of a connection between this revelation and the reason for the face of the supermassive giant protecting the gate being the same as this man's own mind. As Jin Wu fell into a contemplative silence, the man patiently waited for an answer. What should I do? Jin Wu looked at the blinking Y and pondered his options. Seeing that the system even bothered to give him an alert like this, the effects of this skill or whatever must have been for certain. He needed to think about who'd be in more of a disadvantage when unable to lie to the other party here. However, there was no reason to think too deeply about this as the conclusion was already clear in his mind. A system message appearing simultaneously with the mechanical beep quickly informed him of the successful completion of the negotiation. The King of Giants urgently repeated what he said before as if he was waiting for Jin Wu to accept the pledge. Please, free me from this seal. I shall help you. Jin Wu's eyes went extra round from surprise. His voice didn't want to come out of his mouth as if his throat had been blocked off. A smile crept up on the face of this king of giants after seeing Jin Wu's struggles. That's right. That is the power of the pledge of trust. Indeed, the effect had been confirmed to be real, half out of curiosity and the other half out of testing purposes. Jin Wu was about to answer, I shall completely trust you. Let me undo those chains right away. But he really couldn't say any of those words at all. So, this is the pledge of trust at work. Jin Wu confirmed the effects of this skill and felt his heart beat faster. How come it's possible to converse freely with you, unlike how it is with other monsters? Monsters, creatures emerging out from the gates. You must be referring to the denizens of the Chaos World. The King of Giants cracked a mocking grin. I shall ask you something in return. How could you even think of placing mere denizens of the Chaos World on the same pedestal as a sovereign who rules over them? He then formed a dignified expression truly fitting for a king. All the denizens of the Chaos World emerging from the so-called gates are, without exception, remnants of the defeated army. They have lost the battles against the army of the rulers and become captives. They had to remain tied to a leash for an uncountable number of years. So it's only obvious that their ego has been eroded some. However, I am the king. I am different from them. I have patiently waited for the fated day when I can make my escape from their grasp. The king formed a thin smile next. And that's how I got to encounter you. Jinwoo worked hard to keep his emotions in check and to analyze what this guy was saying as objectively as possible. If he's really in existence on a higher realm than other monsters, then he might really find himself with some important clues here. He had a ton of stuff he wanted to ask right now. But before he did that, he needed to confirm something else first. By any chance, when you said the army of the rulers, were you talking about those wearing silver armor with wings on their backs? That's right. Those dogs are the soldiers of the rulers. As expected, it felt as if another puzzle piece had clicked into its rightful place. He suddenly thought that the video playback the angel statue showed him was not some make-believe crap, but someone's real memories of an event that did happen. Instead, just what the hell was going on in this world? Next, Wu asked another question. Why do those beastards called rulers keep sending these monsters to us? The reason for the existences of the gates. If he could find out the reason why these gates kept popping up, then couldn't he be able to do something about it and stop that from happening again? Jinwoo's biggest concern lay with that. I have told you that already, have I not? The king of the giants spoke with much more emphasis in his voice. They are preparing for war. War. They will change this world into a suitable battlefield to engage the sovereigns in yet another warfare. I don't quite follow you here. Just by sending monsters to Earth, this planet suddenly becomes a war zone. Well, it was true that sometimes a situation far more horrifying than a war zone could develop from a gate. But still, Jinwoo momentarily recalled the event that took place in Jin's school. Even then, those were matters that involved humanity. He just couldn't see how those would serve as preparations for some kind of a war involving non-human races. It is all to inject magical energy into your world. Thud. Jinwoo felt as if he was struck in the back of his head just then. If monsters were calamities emerging from the gates, then magic energy was the blessing coming from the gates. Not just the hunters, but many civilians thought similarly along these lines. Magic crystals, as well as mana stones. These items containing magic energy were treated as the greatest source of energy in the modern world. But then, that energy was actually nothing more than footholds for the upcoming war. The King of Giants continued on with his explanations. There is simply no better way to propagate the type of energy that didn't exist before than by sacrificing the blood of those that possess the necessary energy. So, the rulers decided to utilize the captives they had in their possession. There was no need to even mention that the density of the magical energy around the world was gradually getting thicker every day. That was not a naturally occurring phenomenon. No, more than likely that was the fruits from the trees first germinated from the fertile field cultivated from the blood of the monsters. The magic energy fortifies a world. They planned to fortify your world so it wouldn't get destroyed from the impacts of the warfare. In that case, this warfare was yet another blood-soaked struggle between the sovereigns and the rulers. Not too long from now, the world you're living in will become a true hell. A battle between the armies of the rulers and the monsters, no, creatures before they were unwittingly turned into monsters. There isn't a lot of time left. Once the truth about you coming in contact with me gets out, both the sovereigns and the rulers will not simply stay back and watch on anymore. It is even likely that the envoys of the rulers have begun their schemes already. You've been implying that those V-stars will be aiming for my life, but why is that? You really don't know anything, do you? The kings continued on with his explanations in a tone of voice thickly laden with pity. The power that you possess actually is not yours. The mere fact of that power now residing within you could only mean that the original owner had betrayed other sovereigns. When Jinwu heard that, he remembered the angel statue saying something similar in nature. It was likely that the statue was also one of the denizens of the chaos world that followed the sovereigns. You have become the enemy of both the sovereigns as well as the rulers. However, only I pledge that I shall stand by your side and fight for you. So, will you not help me? The king of giants had assessed that this much convincing was enough and formed a serious, determined face. Unfortunately for him, Jin Wu calmly asked a question in return. If you wish to stand by my side, then wouldn't it be simpler for me to turn you into a shadow soldier instead? The king of the giants flinched in surprise. It was only for a second, but for that briefest of moments, the king saw the actual face of the shadow sovereign and this human's overlap. What the human said was not wrong. To him, there would be bigger merit in having one more absolutely loyal underling than forming a brand new alliance with a complete stranger. The king inwardly admired the fact that this human didn't miss the crucial point. He spoke up and explained the situation. We, the sovereigns, as well as the rulers, are made up of spiritual bodies. Once such a spiritual body dies, it is destroyed and can't be turned into one of your shadow soldiers. Meaning, I can never become your soldier. Are those enough reasons for you to help me now? Jin Wu wordlessly stared at the king. This being titled the King of Giants, it was carrying an expression of certainty as if it knew that the restraints tying it down would soon be undone. Of course, Jin Wu had no such weird tendencies of feeling jealous after seeing someone else being happier than him. Also, this guy said he'd become his ally out of its own volition, so he didn't have any reason to reject the offer either. However, why did he keep feeling this uneasiness in his heart? Something. I've definitely overlooked something here. One cold sweat drop after another began forming on his forehead. The king of giants, meanwhile, made another plea. Unshackle me, I beseech you. Jin Wu took in a deep, deep breath. No matter how hard he pondered his options, he couldn't think of a reason to reject this king's plea. The longer he thought about what he had missed, the more he felt as if he was getting sucked into a quagmire. Am I being too paranoid here? Jin Wu approached the king of giants while carrying the demon king's short sword. And as he walked right up to its own nose, the king nodded his head. Jin Wu reciprocated that nod. He swung his short sword laden with his magic power, and one of the chains powerlessly snapped in half. His heart was beating louder and louder for some reason. Slice, the second chain was cut in half as well. The king of giants formed a reverential expression that was neither joyous or sorrowful, and waited for his restraints to be undone. The third chain, slice. Jin Wu leaned towards the back of the
I'm
king
missing
in
it
order to
too.
hold the chains taking root within its flesh there. You have said that you will stand by my side. Yes, of course I will. If you help me, then I shall help you in return. This is a fair and absolute transaction between two sovereigns. In that case, are you on the side of the humans? The king suddenly became silent. The pledge of truth. The condition of this spell meant that the king of giants couldn't say anything. Jin Wu took a look behind this being's neck. A jet black mana crystal embedded on the back of his neck coldly reflected the ambient light. As long as that item was stuck in the body, this being would hear the voices of the rulers in his head, too. The words of kill every human. For a brief moment there, a murderous intent flowed in the air. With its now free right hand, the king of giants took aim at Jin Wu's temple. Too bad. It was still not enough to reach him. He lowered his head and evaded the attack, before stabbing the short sword into the king's chest. Stab. As if the chains wrapped around its body didn't even exist. The sharp blade dug deep into the chest cavity of the captive king. The king of giants suddenly vomited out a mouthful of blood. However, that single hit wasn't enough. Letting this thing live was far too risky. This thing could become an untold calamity. Jin Wu analyzed the situation as thus, while evading the right hand of the king constantly attacking him with nothing more than tilting his upper body this way. And that continued to thrust the short sword into the chest of his enemy. Stab, 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 stab. He stabbed for the sixth time. Only after his blade entered and left the chest cavity for the sixth time did the king of giants stop moving his right hand. It was over. Jin Wu extracted his short sword for the last time. The king of giants stared straight into his eyes and formed a meaningful grin. It is regretful, but this here is the end of the road for me. Jin Wu took a step back and wordlessly shook the blood off his short sword. In the meantime, the king continued to speak. As the battles between your world and the captured denizens of the chaos world become more and more intense, This world will transform further and further into a battlefield. The king coughed out another mouthful of blood and formed the last smile. I pray that everything you wish to protect burn into ashes in the all-ending conflagration of the war. That ain't gonna happen. Jin Wu curtly cut off the words of the king, and swung his short sword hard to cut the being's head off. The moment the king drew his last breath, the ocean-like magical energy sleeping within the creature exploded into the world outside. The transformation of the world had begun. A few days before the death of the King of Giants, a helicopter belonging to America's Hunter Bureau landed on the lawn of a certain ultra-luxurious mansion. The owner of this mansion, currently enjoying a belated lunch, stared at that helicopter through his window and stopped cutting into the juicy slab of steak. This could get troublesome. The owner of this grand mansion was one of the only five greatest hunters alive on this planet. His name was Christopher Reed. He was more commonly known as the Special Authority Rank Hunter rather than by his birth name, though. In any case, who'd dare to trouble such a person? It's been a long time, Deputy Director. And Christopher Reed's gaze shifted over to the African American lady standing behind the Deputy Director of the Hunter Bureau, Madam Selner. The Deputy Director was carrying a deeply tense face as he scanned his surroundings. He spoke while anxiously rubbing his chin. We have an urgent matter to discuss with you, so can you send everyone else away for the time being? As Christopher Reed had expected, his prediction of being troubled had come true. If his guest was only the deputy director, then he'd have made the latter wait for a few hours as the price for disrupting his peaceful afternoon without a heads up. However, he couldn't do something so impolite with Madame Selner present. He beckoned the steward with his finger. Only after his employee got close enough to touch his forehead did the hunter whisper his next order. Until my two guests leave, do not let anyone come anywhere remotely close to this room. Understood, sir. What business brings you two to this distant abode of mine? Madame Selner searched for a sign of assurance from the deputy director first. He nodded his head to signal go ahead. But, just before Selner could open her mouth to speak, Christopher Reed raised his hand first. If you have come here to speak to me about that rank gate appearing somewhere out in the east, then let me make myself clear. I'm still not interested in going. He resolutely stated his case. He made sure to drive the point home so there would be no room for anyone to try changing his mind. I haven't come to you because of that gate, Mr. Chris. We have an even bigger problem than that to worry about. Madame Selner hesitated greatly before she forced her lips to open. Mr. Chris, in the near future, there is a strong possibility that you'll get assassinated by an unknown assailant. At that moment, an awkward silence descended on the room. Madame Selner, his voice as he called out to her became heavy, love. I'll never forget the favor you did for me for the rest of my life. Because of her ability, his powers had become stronger than ever before. He had exceeded his limit that felt like a wall he couldn't overcome no matter what. However, that didn't mean she was allowed to look down on him like this. Just who is supposed to assassinate who here? Just who would dare to touch even a single hair on the body of a special authority rank hunter? A cat could never slay a lion. Only a lion could rip apart another lion to death. Not too long ago, I had a dream related to you. A dream. Yes, Madame nodded her head. Christopher Reed felt flabbergasted. But Madame continued on regardless. In my dream, you were surrounded by some men. And they, look here, Madame Selm. Christopher Reed couldn't hold back anymore and yelled out loudly. Just because of some dream you had, you flew all the way out to this place to tell me this nonsense, Madame. This is not nonsense, and I merely wish to. I already know full well what you used to do before becoming an awakened. Okay, some people believe that. Because she used to work as a psychic, Madame Selner came to possess a unique ability that separated her
Oh,
from all the other awakened out there. However, her former profession still couldn't excuse this utterly nonsensical drift. Christopher Reed's expression crumpled rather unsightly. I am a special authority rank hunter. No one can kill me. But, in my dream, you definitely. You and your dream again. Christopher Reed spat out a long sigh and then nodded his head.
we're
All
gonna.
right, fine. Let's say I believe you, ma'am. Let's say there are enemies powerful enough to kill me. In that case, if that is all real, who should I go and ask for help, then? Should he call the cops, or request protection from the Hunter Bureau against an opponent capable enough to supposedly kill a special authority rank hunter? What a stupid notion that was. Christopher Reed snorted in derision and continued on. If true, there's nothing that can be done, is there? Madame Selmer silently deliberated for a long time before making her reply. There might be someone who can help you. And just who might this someone be? Hunter Xiang Jinwu. If it's him, he might be able to protect you. Xiang Jinwu. Wait, are you talking about that Asian hunter who went off to solve the Japanese dungeon break crisis? That's correct. He's Hunter Xiang Jinwu. The king of giants lost its head. Jinwu quickly stepped away to evade the fountain of blood gushing out from the severed neck. It was then the familiar mechanical beep went off in his head. What the heck? Jinwu was flustered for a moment there as he had never come across a situation like this one before. And a little while later, mechanical beeps continuously rang inside his head. And at the same time, Jinwu got to spectate on the grand feast of system messages utterly filling up his vision. Jinwu's eyes opened progressively wider and wider. Jinwu confirmed his new level and swallowed back a huge gasp of shock. His level reached 100 after hunting down all the ants on Jeju Island. However, his level stayed pretty much the same for a little while after that, probably because of the wide gap between him and the monsters he ran into. After asking for other major guilds' understandings, he got to sweep clean every single high-ranking dungeon in the vicinity for a week and only then did his level rise up to 103. But now, his level had jumped past 120. This was all thanks to the giant-type monsters, each possessing a boss level worth of experience points, as well as the king of giants who gifted him with an enormous amount of experience points, which was as much as 8 levels worth, no less. Very nice. Jinwu nodded his head. He had made the right call by killing the king. It was definitely not a coincidence that his level shot up by 8 in one go. This being was able to emit enough pressure to make breathing difficult for him even though its powers had been sealed away by these special chains. If this thing got freed and was allowed to roam freely in the outside world, then Jinwu shook his head left to right. He should thank the lucky stars that he got to discover its true nature before that happened. So, it's those rulers that keep sending these things over here. Why did it happen? Back when he first heard the term rulers, a scene automatically began replaying itself in his mind. And it was about 4 angels descending from the heavens. Even though it hadn't really happened to him, Jinwu felt a chill run down his backside simply from discovering them in the playback. He felt as if his heart fell to the pit of his stomach. Could those things be the rulers? If those things were planning to invade Earth, then he definitely lacked enough power to stop them as he was right now. He gripped the magic crystal even tighter. I need to get much stronger. The news of the giants all being hunted down quickly spread to the rest of the world. From the closest neighbor of Japan, South Korea, all the way to Brazil and South America, on the other side of the globe, the entire world heard of Jin Wu's feats. A single hunter rescues an entire nation. Various social media networking sites were in upheaval with suggestions of a brand new special authority rank hunter making his appearance. The difference this time, compared to the Jeju Island ring, was that such suggestions were being made not only by the Koreans, the state of Maryland, in the eastern half of the United States of America. The American hunters who had safely concluded the raid of the rank escape were supposed to be heading to the celebratory party organized by the U.S. government. So this was where you were. The 3 men's heads snapped immediately in the direction of where that voice was coming from, and their eyes all widened as well. Thomas Andre stood before them and with a grin, presented them with a single slip of paper. What is this? The promissory note stating that all of you will uphold the result of the bet. Thomas Andre didn't really give a damn about the stunned reactions of the 3 hunters and began jotting down the items each of them had put forward in the bet. You said your yacht, you, your mansion, and you. Thomas Andre stared straight at the 3rd hunter and began scratching the side of his head with the end of his pen. What did you bet again? The singled-out hunter gulped down his saliva and hurriedly raised his voice. I didn't bet anything, actually. Hey, your tie looks pretty cool. No, I didn't. Your tie. No, wait, I. Thomas Andre lowered his sunglasses just a little and quietly stared at him, causing the hunter to shut his mouth. Because this guy had witnessed the power of Goliath capable of ripping rank S monsters apart with nothing but his bare hands. This hunter had not one bit of desire to go up against Thomas Andre, who waltzed around the rank S dungeon as if it was a low-rank dungeon commonly found everywhere. Your tie. The hunter undid his tie with a tearful face. A short while later, Thomas Andre walked into the restaurant of the hotel while whistling to himself before discovering a familiar face there and stopped his leisurely stride. It was the manager in charge of managing the top hunters of the Scavenger Guild, Laura. When she approached him, Thomas Andre showed off his new tie to her and asked, So, what do you think about my new tie? It looks expensive, but it does not suit your Hawaiian shirt, sir. You think so? Thomas Andre undid the tie around his neck and chucked it inside a trash can nearby while replying nonchalantly to her. Yep, I thought as much. Laura had seen how Thomas Andre operated from a close vantage point for a very long time now. So, she didn't display much of a reaction and simply stated the reason why she was here. We have a problem. A problem? Thomas Andre raised his head away from the trash can. His experience told him that this problem couldn't have been a minor one since Laura didn't use the phone. but rather showed up here personally to inform him like this. What kind of a problem are we talking about here? Laura spoke with a worried voice. The list of guilds invited by the Hunter Bureau for this year's International Guild Conference has been published. However, it includes South Korea's Ajin Guild. Ajin Guild. Suddenly, he was overcome with an ominous feeling. Thomas Andre's voice sounded heavier as a result. Laura nodded her head. It's as you suspect. It's Hunter Xiang Jin Wu's guild. As he thought, why did all the elements he sensed never miss their marks? Thomas Andre frowned deeply and spoke. So, I guess he's coming to America, then. As Jin Wu busied himself with killing the giants in Japan, one of them escaped out into the sea. The creature had been heading into the Pacific. But the news of it completely changing course towards China was a bit of fresh shock for the association president. Bill Gun Huey quickly asked, how are the Chinese responding to this situation? We heard that Liu Zhaijin will personally step up, sir. By any chance, are you Hunter Nim? Ah, if you're looking for Hyun Nim, he's over. No, no, Yu Jin-ho blinked his eyes several times. Maybe, yes, Yu Jin-ho utilized his meager English skills to reconfirm that it was indeed him the Japanese wanted, and quickly received a smartphone from the latter. And then, his expression gradually hardened as he listened to the call, until the call came to an end. Yu Jin-ho simply repeated yes, yes over and over again. I'm sorry, Hyun Nim. Looks like I'll have to go back to Korea right away. Seeing how serious Yu Jin-ho's expression was, Jin Woo couldn't help but ask, what happened? I'm not too sure myself. It's just that, I've been told there's been an emergency at home and I need to go back immediately. Jin Woo shut his mouth. He could think of a reason already. Chairman Yu's illness. If his suspicion proved to be correct, then it was understandable why the caller was unable to provide much clarification over the phone to Yu Jin-ho. How could anyone say to a son in another country that his father had fallen into a comatose state over a phone call? So, Jin Woo didn't inquire any further. Yu Jin-ho did his best to sound assured and relaxed in front of his Hyon, but in reality, he could barely keep his worries in check. He could still recall his mom's voice on the phone. It was the first time that her warm and kind voice sounded so shaken like that. Just what had happened. His heart was pounding away madly right now. No, I should not think about
Mm.
anything for the time being. He had no idea what was going on. So if he kept worrying about it right now, it'd only make his thoughts more complicated. As a matter of fact, it could be nothing serious as well. Until he landed back on the Incheon International Airport, he continued to carry such a hopeful thought, however tiny, in his heart. Unfortunately for him, Yu Jin-ho got the moment he discovered the swollen eyes of Secretary Kim Audrey coming to fetch him. He realized
You
immediately that
idiot.
something really bad had happened. The car is waiting for you. For the time being, please come with me. What's going on? Yu Jin-ho so desperately wanted to ask that question. However, he was scared of the potential answer and couldn't mouth those three words. Please, hurry. Secretary Kim pointed at the outside of the airport. Jin Ho-gun, you need to stay strong in times like these. I shall explain everything on our way. Yu Jin-ho's tears welled up from those words. Secretary Kim explained Chairman Yu Myung-han's current condition to Yu Jin-ho as they rode on the car. But that couldn't be. Yu Jin-ho desperately tried to reject Secretary Kim's explanations. No, he didn't want to believe it. Unfortunately, after arriving in the hospital, he had no choice but to believe when he saw his sleeping father's face through the glass wall partition. He remained still as if he was dead. At the same time, it felt like something in his heart had shattered to pieces. Seeing his father, who looked so mighty and imposing, lying there on the hospital bed looking so wan and weak, something hard and powerful welled up from deep within. Dad, Yu Jin-ho tried to rush into the hospital room, but the doctors quickly blocked his way. The approach of a hunter, he couldn't control his madness. Leakage would only worsen the patient's condition. Hearing that explanation from the doctors, Yu Jin-ho's expression became a person whose soul had abandoned him. So, that's how it was. He was a son who always disappointed his father, and now, he couldn't even hold his father's hand for one last time. Too, faced with such a fitting end for himself, he couldn't even shed a tear anymore. I see. I've been a completely useless son. Even till the end. Yu Jin-ho turned on his heels in dejection. But then, Secretary Kim approached him and handed over a black leather-bound case file. What is this? Yu Jin-ho weakly raised his head up after receiving this unknown file. Secretary Kim calmly explained himself. This is the item the chairman was working on before he collapsed. Actually, I've kept it with me in case he searched for it after waking up. But, I thought that you might need it more than I do. Jin-ho got. This, you think so? Yu Jin-ho alternated his gaze between Secretary Kim and the file. Eventually, he cautiously opened it. It was a scrapbook filled with newspaper clippings. Every single page was packed full of articles from various newspapers containing either his older brother Yu Jin Xiang or his older sister Yu Jin Hu. From father to son, Yu Jin Ho wondered just from where he got this habit of cutting out and keeping the newspaper articles he liked. But it seemed that he got it from his father. To think he had this kind of a hobby, even when stewing in sorrow. A grin still managed to squeak out as he looked at his brother and sister when they were young kids. Both of them were the pride of his father. In all sorts of academic competitions, talent contests, and concurs, they were geniuses that made their names known throughout the country in their favorite subjects. It was rather obvious that this scrapbook would be filled with articles related to the two of them. As he flipped through the pages, Yu Jin Ho grew more and more embarrassed by the fact that not a single photo of him could be found with him. However, just as he flipped to the last page, his hands came to an abrupt stop. There were articles containing his name. Even those meaningless gossip pieces didn't escape his father's attention and found themselves cut out and pasted carefully within the page. No words wanted to come out of Yu Jin Ho's mouth. While he stood there like that, a newspaper article that hadn't been fully cropped out fell to the floor. He hurriedly bent down to the floor and picked it up, only for the tears to stream down from his eyes. It was an article containing the photo of himself beaming brightly to the camera. That was taken when, after Jin Woo killed the boss-level giant monster, he refused all filming and interview requests from the countless reporters flooding into the location. So Yu Jin Ho stepped up as the stand-in. Instead, Secretary Kim squeezed Yu Jin Ho's shoulder and spoke. It's not true that Chairman Yu never loved you, Jin Ho Gun. As great as his love for you, he also held equally great expectations of you. Yu Jin Ho wordlessly sat there, his shoulders shuddering uncontrollably as he cried. He somehow managed to calm his aching heart and stood back up. Damn. For the time being, let me accompany you back to your home. All right. Yu Jin Ho left the hospital room of his father, Chairman Yu, with Secretary Kim a little while later. But just before the door to this special hospital room closed shut, a portion of the shadow beneath Yu Jin Ho's feet separated away and slipped inside the room. No one witnessed this strange phenomenon happen. The door closed shut and the light within the room automatically switched off. And time continued to tick by like this. When the hour became late and no more people came around to visit this room, a shadow sneaked out from underneath Chairman Yu's bed. Then, an ant soldier emerged from this shadow. He quietly looked around the room and discovered the sleeping Chairman Yu. What sort of delicious open buffet was this? The ant soldier fixed his gaze on the Chairman Yu and began drooling avariciously. But too bad for him. He got rapidly sucked into the shadow and was replaced by Jin Wu. That was the effect of the skill shadow exchange. That kid, why did have to he go and cry like that? Making me feel all bad and stuff. Jin Wu carefully raised the upper torso of Chairman Yu Myung Han, opened his lips, and slowly poured in the divine water of life. Very slowly, and only a small amount at a time. However, Chairman Yu must have known that this item was the sole lifeline capable of saving him, because he gulped the water down rather commendably well. Now that he thought about it, wasn't Yu Jin Ho's birthday at the end of this month? I know it's a bit early, but well, happy birthday. Jin Ho. Skill information. Class specific skill. Mana required to activate none. The summoner can switch locations with the designated Shadow Soldier. Once activated, you must wait 2 hours of cooldown time before being able to use the skill again. The cooldown period will change according to the skill's level. Remaining cooldown time 1 hours, 54 minutes and 11 seconds. Still 1 hour and 54 minutes left. Even if he disregarded the 11 seconds, he still had roughly 2 hours left to kill. He hadn't finished with the task of extracting shadows yet, meaning he still needed to go back to Japan one more time if he were to seek out the remaining dead giants and turn them into shadow soldiers. He did leave a shadow on standby there, so the issue of traveling back would be
But
resolved as soon as Shadow Exchange's cooldown time had elapsed. But his current problem would be with how he'd go about spending the next 2 hours of waiting. Going home is out of the question. Even as he stepped out of the Seoul Ilson Hospital's front entrance, Jin Woo continued to agonize over what he should next. But then, a rather nice idea popped up in his head. Okay, should I search for an ownerless dungeon or something? Jin Woo undid stealth and greatly extended out his sensory perception. His senses picked up 4 or 5 gates near his location. He pulled out his hunter-issued smartphone and accessed the association's app to confirm the details on those gates. Found you. Jin Woo found out that 2 of those gates weren't reported to the association. A meaningful smile formed on Jin Woo's face right away. Miss, we've arrived. Thank you, driver. Chairman Yu Myung Han's eldest daughter, Yu Jin Hui, was returning to the hospital after escorting her nearly fainted mother back home. She stepped out from the chauffeur-driven car's back seat. She felt as if the heavens were crashing down on her the day she learned of her father slowly dying from that illness. Even then, she unreservedly believed her father's words. If someone else declared oh so proudly that he'd cure this incurable illness, Jin Huey would flat out not believe that man. However, just who was her father? Was he not the one and only Chairman Yu Myung-han? The man who could legitimately be called the top dog in South Korea's financial world. That was why she held on to that slim strand of gold. But in the end, things had become like this. It was around it, as she raised her head. Her eyes briefly caught the sight of a rather familiar face walking past her. This man. Hadn't she seen that face often before? As she began wondering where she had seen him, the man also must have sensed her gaze, because he pulled the hood down even further and rapidly distanced himself from her. She stared at the man's back and tilted her head just a little, before resuming her walk. The identity of that man was not an important thing to her anyway. Her phone suddenly issued out loud ringtones. With the hour being so late already, the corridors of the hospital were mostly empty now, and the ringtone sounded especially loud to her ears. Hello. Yes, hello. I'm calling from Seoul Wilson Hospital, miss. I couldn't get in touch with your mother and had no choice but to contact you first. Her mother had taken a shot of sedative and had fallen asleep at home, so she wouldn't be able to wake up and answer the phone now. But why was the hospital calling her like this? Jin Huey instantly became scared by this call made by the doctor in charge. That was why she was extra cautious when asking back. Did something happen? Actually, Chairman Yu Myung-han has, as she heard the ensuing explanation. Her eyes grew as large and round as a rabbit's. Ting, the moment the door opened, she rushed out and entered the hospital room, and was greeted by the sight of her father's face shifting towards her, from the top of his head right down to the tip of his toes. He was definitely her father, and there was no need to even suspect otherwise. Dad, Yu Myung-han, currently surrounded by a cordon of doctors, turned his head towards his little girl. Jin Huey, Dad. She jumped into his embrace, and as Yu Myung-han gently patted her back, he finally realized that he had returned from death's doorstep somehow, and alive. However, could he really describe this as a coincidence? All the cordon of doctors in charge responded with whispers of it's a miracle, and with his daughter sobbing her eyes out as she clung to her dad, Yu Myung-han began focusing on the sounds of his own beating heart. How could this be? He was already well past his 50s, yet his heart was pounding away vigorously as if he was still in his 20s. Instead, this can only be described as a miracle and nothing else. A patient woke up from the final sleep state of the eternal sleep disorder, and on top of that, his body had become even healthier than when he went to sleep, too. Didn't the word miracle exist precisely to describe a situation such as this one right here? Instead of celebrating, Yu Myung-han pondered something for a while before raising his head to look at the doctor. By any chance, are there cameras installed near the hospital room I've been staying at? Pardon, I don't understand what. There is something I'd like to confirm first. Are there any cameras installed inside the room or around the entrance itself? There are none within the room, but there should be one by its entrance. Very good. Right here. This is the only odd thing that happened. The doorway malfunctioning this one time. The guard pointed at the screen and explained what happened back then. The windows were confirmed to be locked from the inside, so the sole exit left in that hospital room was the doorway. However, all four guards manning the door said the same thing. They said that not even a single ant had entered the room during their watch. Next morning, his departure time neared and employees from the Japanese Hunters Association came to escort him. When he got near the airport's vicinity, Jin Woo began realizing why the Japanese Association was so particularly mindful of taking care of his appearance. Because he could see throngs upon throngs of people outside the moving car's window, and there were even more people beyond. Jin Woo became utterly speechless and silently stared outside, while the association employee spoke to him in a clearly excited voice. Everyone gathered here today all wanted to see you at least once before you depart, Hunter knew. One couldn't even argue that this sea of people was forcibly organized either, as there were simply too many of them for that. Just how many people have shown up here today? It's not an exact amount, but we estimate over 100,000, Hunter knew. That many. The vehicle carrying Jin Woo quietly glided along the road that had been cordoned off tightly. When they went around a corner, there was just as big a crowd of people. No, maybe even bigger than before, waiting to greet Jin Woo's car. Baru, watching this spectacle from within his shadow, quickly engaged him in a chat. Oh, my king, your loyal subjects are expressing their genuine adulation and awe towards you, my liege. It's not like that. Oh, my king, perhaps it is for the best that you wave your hand and acknowledge your subjects. Hey, I said it's not like that. Where did this guy see and learn all this weird stuff from? The plane carrying Jin Wu taxied off amidst the sending off of over 100,000 people. In the opulent mansion owned by one of the five special authority ranked hunters, Christopher Reed, he suddenly woke up in the middle of the night. The cause, the noises from the surroundings. As one of the very best hunters acknowledged by the world, he'd not be able to fall asleep even for a single day if he were to mind every little noise he could hear. And that was precisely it. He didn't wake up because it was too noisy around him. No, it was the exact opposite. Why is it so quiet around here? All sorts of ambient noises he could hear if he concentrated just a little were gone as if they were all alive to begin. He kicked off from his bed and opened the bedroom door. He couldn't pick up on the presence of several hired help who should have been located in various spots of the mansion. Christopher Reed wordlessly stared at the empty corridor before walking over to grab a wine glass left on the table and came back to the doorway. And then he threw it in the corridor. The wine glass left his hand and drew a gentle arc in the air before hitting the floor to shatter into bits and pieces. However, there were no sounds still, not even one. At that moment, a powerful chill crawled up his spine. He realized that something that could not happen had happened. His sharpened senses were sending out warning bells. They were warning him that he was now facing the kind of danger he had never experienced before. His instincts strongly advised him to make a certain action right now. He quickly moved away. He ran to the bedside bureau to pick up his mobile phone resting on top, and at the same time, he yanked open one of its drawers. There was a piece of crumpled paper resting silently within. These words were written on its surface. If you need help, please call this number. The president of the Korean Hunters Association, Go Gun Huey, will connect you to that pin. The deputy director of the Hunter Bureau left behind that note with the steward before leaving. Did the madam actually predict a moment like this would come? He didn't know the answer to that. But if he wanted to find out, he needed to survive first. It was too late now to ask for help or let someone else know of his situation. Christopher Reed put the phone and the note down and quietly stood back up again. The first person he saw after slowly turning around was a blond man with a bright smile etched on his face. One of this man's hands was even tucked in his pocket, a display of utter leisure. Such a relaxed demeanor would be rather impossible to find from a normal person invading the residence of a rank S hunter. And not only that, a hunter boasting one of the highest levels in the entire world. Christopher Reed asked, "Who are you people?" The blondie in front of his eyes, and two more behind this one. There were a total of three intruders. It was already unknown whether he'd be able to fight on just the one enough. And to think, there are two enemies of simple caliber present, too. If you keep trying to accommodate these humans during your struggles, you won't be able to save a single thing. Oh, fragment of the brilliant light. And worse still, his voice sounded truly bizarre as if it didn't even belong to this world in the first place. Monster language. Christopher Reed's brows shot up real high. Just what the FCK are you saying here? The blondie watched the agitated Christopher Reed react and raised his finger to press it against his lips. SHH. I wasn't talking to you. The blonde's fluent English this time caused the eyes of Christopher Reed to grow wider still. A being that could speak both the language of man as well as the language of monsters as freely as he willed it. As far as Christopher Reed knew, no such person existed in this world. The finger leaving the blondie's lips then pointed to the heavens above. Up there, I was talking to the dude up there connected to you. Of course, Christopher Reed couldn't make heads nor tails of what this blonde man was talking about. But he was sure of one thing. He was sure that this blonde was completely looking down on him right now. Christopher Reed's angry voice powerfully reverberated outward. Do I look like a DMN pushover to you? Crimson light exploded forth from his eyes and soon, vicious flames began whipping around all over his body. In fact, his figure became crimson in color as well as he grew larger and larger in size. The furniture caught by his expansion were all knocked and shoved away. His new appearance as the angry flames enveloped his entire body was that of the god of fire. Now easily 4 meters tall. Real flames were spitting out from the creature's eyes. At the bare minimum, I will take down one of you with me. Christopher Reed's punch collided with the wall and caused a massive explosion. The two men behind the blondie stepped aside to avoid the debris from the exploding wall and revealed themselves in full spiritual body manifestation. A human can manifest a spiritual body. They looked on at Christopher Reed's new appearance with some amount of interest. Meanwhile, the floor Christopher Reed stood on began boiling and melting down. For the first time since the worst calamity ever to befall humanity, the Kamish raved, he prepared himself to die today. The flames wrapped around him became even more violent as if they were about to explode and began swallowing up everything surrounding him. And as the vicinity was being swept away by his vicious flames, He stood in the middle of this storm of destruction and roared out loudly enough to shake the earth itself. That UFC King Monster Beast odds. What were the odds of finding a familiar face occupying a seat next to yours after boarding a plane? Jin Woo was guided to the first-class cabin by the stewardess, but before he could take his seat, he ended up staring vacantly at his temporary neighbor. He then spoke in a rather exasperated voice. I
Yeah.
hope you aren't going to blame this one on coincidence.
You didn't look on the counter, did you?
Very much so, if you... But, yes, it does seem like a bit of stretch, doesn't it? Listening to a blue-eyed foreigner speak such fluent Korean still remained a rather disharmonious experience to Jin Woo. He didn't take his eyes off the man as he settled down on his seat. We meet again, Mr. Adam White. It's an honor to speak to you again, Seong Jinwoo Hunter now, the senior
Ooh.
agent from America's Hunter Bureau. Adam White still carried that amiable smile as he bowed his head, just like the first time they met. We've only met once briefly, yet you still remember my name. I'm honored. Well, let's just say that our first meeting had been too memorable not to remember. I thought our negotiation had broken down completely. We're aware that seeking you out like this without a prior heads up is quite rude. But an urgent situation had developed and we had no choice but to contact you. Jin Woo abruptly recalled the news of a rank S-gate appearing somewhere in the eastern U.S. Could it be that you guys also failed to handle that rank S-gate? No, not that. We took care of that one, no problem. If this wasn't about the rank S-gate, then what other problem could there be? Could this matter be somehow related to him killing the King of Giants? When Jin Woo displayed his clear interest, Adam White didn't waste any more time and pulled out a notebook PC. A video clip came up on the computer's screen and it showed thick rising plumes of black smoke as if a wide-scale wildfire had broken out somewhere. Adam handed the laptop over to Jin Woo so that the latter could watch the clip. What is up with this fire? We can't put it out. They can't be a normal blaze. The firefighters were clearly in a panicked state. They seemed to be trying all sorts of methods, but the raging inferno showed no signs of weakening at all. No, it was actually only getting stronger and began to slowly box them in instead. Where is our backup? When are they arriving? It was right then. A helicopter arrived in the nick of time and several mage-type hunters disembarked from the vehicle, and they proceeded to pour out water-type magic on the flames. The video clip was nearing its end. Seeing that there wasn't much time left in the video's duration, Jin Woo felt it strange and had to ask, why are you showing me this? Sure, it had been an interesting viewing experience, but people coming to see him because of some wildfire in the US didn't make much sense to him at all. Adam White reached out and skipped forward to the last part of the clip. Here, please watch the end. There must have been an incredibly powerful explosion, judging from the radius of things being swept away. And in the center of that radius, a single corpse was lying face down there. There was no need to confirm if the victim was still alive or not. There was a wide hole in his chest, and that should have been the exact spot where his heart used to be. In order to put out the fire this man caused, over 18 firefighters and 14 mage-type hunters had to be mobilized. Not only that, they were all top-ranked hunters, too. 14 high-ranking hunters had to give their all just to put out a fire lingering around after the one activating it had died already. Just from that alone, Jin Woo was able to make an educated guess at the identity of the corpse lying face down on the ground. Could it be the Ski? As Jin Woo looked up at him, Adam White replied with a melancholic expression. As I thought, you have recognized him. Indeed, it was Christopher Reed Hunter now. And finally, these are. Adam White pulled out several photos from his inner pocket and spoke up. These are the photos of the being we at the Hunter Bureau strongly suspect to be the culprit in this case. But the Jin Woo could only feel confused from the way Adam White said his words, as he didn't sound like he was talking about a man or a woman, as if he wasn't talking about a human but a thing. Instead, soon, though, the Korean's gaze lowered down to the photographs. There was no need to even take them for a closer look. Jin Woo simply stood up from his seat and beckoned with his finger, and that caused Adam White to rise up automatically from his seat as well. Adam White's eyes opened up wide in surprise. Jin Woo used his ruler's authority to drag the American agent in closer and grabbed hold of the latter's collars. If this is your way of trying to play some kind of a trick, you, all of you, won't walk out of here alive. He was not making an empty threat here, either. Jin Woo's cold eyes were gleaming with a wild, ferocious beast as he genuinely emitted a murderous intent. Adam White, although his collars were held tight, still managed to cry out, don't do it. Of course, he wasn't shouting at Jin Woo. His desperate dissuasion managed to stop just in time the movements of the two high-ranking hunters about to descend on Jin Woo, having successfully stopped the actions akin to pouring oil into the fire. Adam White then pleaded with Jin Woo next. That being in the photo walked out from a dungeon. He's most likely not the person you know. A dungeon. Jin Woo's grip on its collars relaxed just a tad. Being able to breathe just a bit easier now, the American hurriedly added more explanation. The magic energy emission from that guy was a match to that of monsters, and he suddenly began attacking our rank as hunter as well. My dad came out of a dungeon and started attacking other hunters. As Jin Yu began falling into confusion, Adam White quickly clarified himself. Do you still remember the accident that happened a few months ago in the HQ of Hunter Bureau? That explosion. How could Jinwoo forget? That incident caused quite a bit of clamor around the world. After all sorts of wild conspiracy theories were flung about, such as the explosion being the result of a secret experiment gone wrong, a high-ranking hunter running amok, or even two rank SOA fighting each other, etc. Are you telling me that was the handiwork of my father? Adam White nodded his head. He beat down one of our hunters and vanished into thin air. We at the Hunter Bureau continued to chase him in secrecy, but as if he had disappeared from this world. We couldn't find any traces of him. I understand how you feel, Hunter Nick. However, that person fits the profile best for this particular crime. For one, he had the precedence of attacking another hunter. He was strong enough to easily exceed a rank S awakened. And finally, his whereabouts were a complete mystery. It would not be all that strange to see the Hunter Bureau designation when claiming to be Samuel H1 as one of the main suspects. What is your reason for showing me those pictures? The International Guild Conference. During the International Guild Conference, where the representatives from the world's leading guilds will gather in one spot. The higher-ups of the Hunter Bureau are planning to distribute that person's pictures, meaning they would no longer keep the investigation a secret. It also meant that the American government had become really enraged by the loss of an invaluable asset called a Special Authority Rank Hunter, and they would fully mobilize every resource at their disposal in tracking down and apprehending the party responsible. In that regard, there would be no better timing than the International Guild Conference. We at the Hunter Bureau would like to continue maintaining our amicable relationship with you, Xiang Jinwu Hunter. So, you came to inform me first before the public announcement takes place, is that it? From the death of a special authority rank hunter to the existence of a being calling itself Xiang Yilei. And finally, even about the warrant itself, these were the Hunter Bureau's way of showing consideration, as they had rated Jin Wu's abilities very highly and didn't want to become his enemy. Are you all right? Yeah, more or less. Just that I'm a bit exhausted right now. Adam White sounded more like he was trying to console himself. Instead, Adam White asked the hunters for the confirmation. I need to confirm with you both since it happened too quickly for me. Just now, didn't Hunter Xiong Jinwu somehow move me without touching me at all? Right. The two high-ranking hunters, who wouldn't lose out to anyone on the matters of excellent eyesight, nodded their heads as their reply to Adam White's question. I thought as much. Adam White felt goosebumps breaking out all over his skin. Xiong Jinwu was the first one discovered to possess the psychokinesis skill outside the five special authority ranked hunters. There is no time to waste. His trembling hand picked up his phone. The ringtone went for a little while before the deputy director answered the call. Adam White did his best to calm his trembling voice. Deputy Director, I just discovered the sixth one. The American Hunter Bureau released the list of the guilds invited to the conference. The International Guild Conference. It was an important event where guilds representing their nations were invited over to discuss the current trends and future prospects of the hunter community at large. An Ajin Guild had been chosen to represent South Korea. Its participation in the conference became the hot topic of conversation for both the local and international mass media. The thing was, Jin Wu was the sole high-ranking hunter affiliated with that guild as well as its master. This invitation was no different from the American Hunter Bureau publicly acknowledging that this single hunter was in no way inferior to any of the very best guilds in the world. Guilds that countless high-ranked hunters worked for. However, no, perhaps unsurprisingly, not one person raised a voice of discontent. Because, was there really a need to discuss whether that lone hunter was qualified or not in this case? As the local interest in the International Guild Conference heated up, one of the TV stations requested the master of the Hunters Guild, Choi Jong-in, for an interview. He knew that the station couldn't ask Jin Woo for one and had sought him out as an alternative. But still, he readily said yes. And so, the interview being broadcast live to the nation took up the time slot of the 8 in the evening. The news regarding Ajin Guild has attracted a great deal of interest from many people around the country.
Oh,
But what are your thoughts regarding this issue? Choi Jong-un didn't even hesitate.
Okay. Bella! Bella! Bellatrix! Bella, come here, girl! Okay. No, no, I'm absolutely 100% sure about that. No. See, no, sucks. Sucks. Canoes would evolve. So now I have to sweep with. Mm. Now I can just click body press and I just I'm just gonna click body press. Unless you get the freeze, you die here. Cody, Cody Road. Cody. Go road.
Perhaps I'm struggling. Perhaps I'm struggling with the inner Superman is breathing down. But yes, you know, thinking of your goals and nice things. It's 2 weeks. You have to lie into the sun. And you and I, we used to ride together. We used to sing Punch on the Left. I know you cared about me at one point. But for sure, I know you cared about them. So take the opportunity. You don't have to look at me. Look at them and tell them John Cena really won.
Come on, John, tell us.
So, I'm also not okay. I'm gonna bury you. Just like I buried everyone else. They've been saying for years that John Cena buries talent. I don't bury talent. I am talent. Bury mediocrity. I don't give a rat's about your list or your failures. You have manipulated your way to the top of this business, and your ego outmatches your ability. All you've done here is ride the coattails of my success by being so great that the WWE can have the heartbeat of this organization to their own. Because he stole the blueprint and left the kingdom. There's your why, King Ace. Because you will not disgust me. You sat by my side for years and stole every secret you need to be undeniable. But still, I tried to drill it in your egotistical skull. How can you be authentic? Because they can see funny. You didn't listen, and it shows. You're too perfect, too polished, you're too rehearsed. You rely on lazy gimmicks like they're singing your name over and over again to get by.
Okay, let's eat this.
Sorry, you are just like the I heard. Ever done is find a way to make a catchy tuning strip people into loving these guys. So what do we get instead? Go to
generic mix of every superstar he's ever or TV show he's ever watched in some big confused blob. And it makes you look like a 16-year-old kid taking acting lessons who's still afraid of public speaking. You, you have shown me one thing, and the one thing you have shown me is someone mediocre wearing something meaningful nowadays is enough to trap these people. You live to make that. He's simply a factory to have it great. They find those sociopathic knuckleheads who are so into himself. Here, Rusty, give it. Tattoos for the world to see. It's not where your tattoos have no meaning. It's what your tattoo is that exposes you to the world for who you are. There. Those French fanatics want the kingdom that they on it's in a fair king because their real champion is taking their king forever and exposing him where you and I. Every boy that doesn't hate. Maybe you're right. Maybe I was chosen. But you know who chose me? They chose me. Can you say the same, John Cena? I was a good guy in an office who chose him. He's not here anymore, and we don't take him. Oh, yeah, let's go ahead. Strip everything away from me, right? I don't know who I am. Who the hell knows who they are? I know this. I'm Cody Rhodes. I'm a wrestler like my father before me. And if anybody is a company creation, it's you, John Cena, and not me. Everyone's so terrified of you and your mic. I'm not, because I know you've got more kick in that promo than you do in your shoulders. For appearing like I'm 16, taking public speaking lessons, well, you're the one who hangs out with Zac Efron and Pusha T. Wilson. 16. And what a softball! Thank you, John. What softball you throw me by saying you created all of this. You created me. Here's what you created. You created a disenfranchised fans. He made it easy for me to pack up and go elsewhere and say, hey, look at me. Like you cleaned up your room before you left and went to Hollywood, John. Go down like you left WWE better than you found it. And all right. There are two of us standing in this room. What I'm about to ask you, let's put the giant hole in all that logic that you just threw in. And it's quite simple. Between you and I, which one of us sold out to the You're still, you're still my but you're also a piece of shit. protected from its audience or a superstar present in command images, taking their best shot at me. As a matter of fact, everyone knows every time I step on this canvas, it is a challenge to every arena for every superstar dumb enough to walk down that ramp to make their strongest swing. See if they are worthy to put me on the ground. No one, no one has been worthy, so I decided to just do it myself. That's why, Cody, I have gathered all the experience this person right. You have to think. You demand because you realize that your best you can't wipe my ass. There's your duties. You rest in peace. John, just wondering, in all the time that I have been never once has an audience, never once have they chanted at me, you can't wrestle. special if you tell them WrestleMania is one of the list of 2020 that we don't remain training ceremony. On Friday, David Lee, Undertaker, One Dead Man Show will take place Saturday, April 19th. The rest of WrestleMania featuring some friends on Sunday and stand at NXT and April 2nd on Ticketmaster and the Ticketmaster. Here's time for my kid. London, England. Ladies and gentlemen, myself to make on the travels yesterday as we got ready for night for the 15th. Sunday night long. Emanating from the the 2 days you can make a fake fighter our general managers. The basis of the Crash Team Championship number 30. You're right, last week I told you need to earn it. And tonight in this United Kingdom, you will do just that. London, please help me in welcoming their opponents. Tyler Bates and Pete Dunne. Yes. Together as a team. Pete Dunne, Prince, Aaron, and the biggest announcers from last delivery. Recovered from a foreign pack. So it's ready to go time. And here's the second living in insane and NXT of the save and talk shine. It's the great purpose of the one. This is a great test for you guys. They deserve a chance against the chance that these Warriors have something to not bad. For Styles inside, he's going to be a little bit motivated and then for me. So yet find that mustache found to get back here. To tearing his back. What a night for them. One of them men, the entire country is quite one of the new there. As a prime runner, it can't replicate sense. Acting championship. Okay, right? For taxi titles, because that's the only time no build on or SmackDown since 2021. And many people are saying the only reason they successful was because they for just that understand is they spend and cancel us that can go that they run to the band and the tank when it's doing a big rush and it's kind of run back. There's the next thing they first to eat to get the band. Went to bat for the big screen. Anyway, timeout. Hey, starting things off against Xavier Woods tonight, make the inaugural UK champion at WWE. 19 years old. For that time. Goes to work. Xavier Woods. What is the name? Still on his throat. It's the man. Tag to take out the big fault to the sword. Of course. It's about slide here. That's one surface from the ground. Richard White leads on next to Jag and finds a back nice double team moves. Xavier Woods. The security coach. Tyler Bate has got the whole attitude of they said like it's a David a team matchup tonight against the New Day was sold out in the O2 in London 16,566 here live tonight. And the suddenly is thinking of this brand new guys. It was the time of all time for celebrating this stuff. It's like a man to do it. Xavier with a drop kick. Other Collins missed the leg of John. Forced the kick out at 2.5. Certainly not how you draw it up. The turn, eager, country, and have the New Every time it's in the gun, but thanks to science in the hands of the new guy. Unless the gun pulls someone out of the back, hurry up. Or getting checked and feet him. Don't just spend him from my woods. Over here in Europe, 3 weeks, 7 Scratch that bitch down. Spec.
Because everything here is too weak.
Kobe kicks it out. The top rope. Out goes done again. Kobe looks to good kick anyway. It just screwed the one right there. But kick out yet like the maybe don't need this match. Bouncing out with one tail on the two big doesn't. Just me and me, anything at my next is 10 and I grab my beach later. What they seen for one of last year's WrestleMania. That was 6-pack iron match tag team fight. Kobe again, not a big butt. Taking a tash here. To the fence on his face. Bang. And he's for NXT Heritage Champion. Just coming up the ring quickly. Catching Kobe kicks to it. That's all the really is. Okay, where is it? Something the bag manages to find his sideline and top base. It's your place coming out. And bringing things up, Xavier Newman, Ramsey and Sanders, clearly still back from the near down. See, it's just that in the nick of time. The water, we should have got it at right now. And it's down the back shirt. He's done it. That's good. The new day still having this is great in there. Showing the emulation. It's great. It's targets to the Xavier. Back it up to her. Don't catch it too. They're still pushing. Left is a table once again. Impressive is the new catch for him. Ready to stop. The defense he represents his environment. There's no way he's on time around the ring. There's the triple. It's the Xavier with the Elvis. They treat me like they. Let's visit the region. Not Republic. Because only the difference between the event and choosing early. So the fourth reason how to eat was intensively engaged. Now come back on the top and shut out game. Drinks it in the cover. What's right time this, but instead, the new day outsmart, outwit, and inevitably are start to the chest. Championship conversation. Congratulations, Kofi what we deserve. And that is a title match for the WWE World Tag Team Championship. Well, speaking of the champs, it feels like it's not Raiders. This is your first time, I think. I stopped waiting. Eric and I'm going to now the fan channel. This is being Raiders. He picked a new date. Here's the downside of the show in the future. Tax he's been wanting to. I mean, here's the amount said, okay, you get away, make you'll be able to do it. Knock off, you can't get, make it not to get better again. Well, you know, right now we're talking about Brendan's show and WWE multi-involved and his key shows great athletes. And both showcases in-ring action featuring rising WWE prospects and they wrestle with a training in advantage team for half one days. Right here, Global SmackDown. They went with so WWE involved in John Decker and saying, "Hey, these first ones that they so to be honest, they're killing the nation in that for you too." Well, when you were here last week, I had the opportunity to watch these shows, and so tag team action for the first time in a couple of years. Thank you back to the UK in action again. K-Town under the NC picked up. The winner of the champ goes around well. It's in the same game to the same shooting. It's supposed to fly back and again this guy's shredding. They know this. Man, I don't know about you. You can't. Not this chick. No. The chick I know. The one I met. That's the one I mean. The one that became the main BJ so that's the piece. The one that won the Royal Rumble. That's the piece I need. You got me? Me and you next week. Why?
What's up with all these data tapes?
Somebody. So feel way more better outside there. Jason Wood. And some nights big difference. Listen. I don't know what I'm down, but tonight, we're going out there and closing that door. Listen, North is a big deal. So are you. And so am I. Tonight, ain't no ready general in there. It's just a man who's beating. Tonight, I'm gonna beat Luke. At WrestleMania, they're gonna beat Luke and become world heavyweight champion. He, I, Fine, check yourself because did you see the smile on his face after the wicked slap by Jimmy last week? Good luck, Jimmy. You're in action against the world champ live on Netflix. Stands away when look at me against Canada, Triple H, a street fight. Did he count this Jack against the champion Triple H? We built this matchup. Incredibly special. So we have the full night and that kind of street fight. This new
The 2025 Hall of Fame induction ceremony this year.